This is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, I know not all of them are going to be pretty. There's a good portion of games during the season they're going to be quite ugly. Tonight was quite ugly, but you know what? It feels a whole lot better when it's ugly and it ends with more points on your side of things than not. And that was the case this evening for the Spurs against the Los Angeles Lakers. Welcome into the Spurs Postcast right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in all of the land. San Antonio today in a rock fight, whatever you want to call it, slugfest, just crawl to the finish line, taking care of the Lakers 107-91 at the Frost Bank Center. He, of course, is NBA champion Devin Brown on the other Spurs property over there at the Rocket Lock and Terror over near the practice facility. I'm Casey Viera. An evening, my friend, that was not pretty. Saw some pretty hideous offensive numbers from both teams all the way around. But like I said, you're going to have a handful of these throughout the season. And as long as it ends with you guys getting on the right side of things, you take it. And that's fortunately how it all played out tonight for the Spurs.
Yeah, definitely, Casey. Both teams coming off of back-to-back. A little sluggish out there. But like you said, at the end of the day, as a coach, you get to break down the win and not a loss. So, you know, they have that to look forward to tomorrow. Oh, right here.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Yeah, so let's talk about the conversations that they're going to be having tomorrow, right there at the venue behind you at the practice facility. No LeBron in this game. He pretty much said it directly after their win yesterday in New Orleans that he wasn't playing without directly saying, I'm 41, I'm taking the night off. So he did not play. Austin Reeves has been hurt, but the Lakers still riding a 3-game win streak themselves and playing pretty good basketball, and right there in the thick of things in the Western Conference, coming in 23-12 to the Spurs 25-11. And well, for the most part, this first half was, you see the reaction I'm giving you right now, kind of head in hands, because it was not aesthetically pleasing. The Spurs did go into the break with a 48-43 advantage, but some of these numbers, it's gross. They shot 42% from the field, San Antonio, to LA's 36, 2 of 14 from three, the Spurs, to LA's 4 of 20. 8 turnovers from San Antonio to the Lakers, 9. Thankfully, Keldon Johnson had it figured out. He had 14. Luka doing all the work that he could. He put up 22 points, 7 points, and 7 assists in that first half. Spurs start to figure things out a little bit in the third. They go up by as many as 14, again, in part to Keldon doing some pretty good things out there. He had 7 points in the quarter. They end up going +6 in the third quarter, taking an 11-point into the fourth quarter break. And for the most part, that's kind of just how things shook out the rest of the way. It felt like they had it in a pretty good grasp from that point. The only thing you were kind of keeping a notice on, given how last night went with the loss in Memphis, was Victor checked out of the game at the 7-minute mark, already playing 22 minutes. The Spurs were up by 11, and you're wondering, okay, does Victor, is this it for him? What happens the rest of the way? Are we going to see him? How do the Spurs hold up? Well, they held on to the advantage. As close as LA got was 9, and then Wemby came back in 3 minutes later to essentially shut the door. So it's essentially a zero conversation. And all the numbers at the end of the day look pretty good in the respect that it's on the right side of things. Him and Keldon, they combined for 19 points in the fourth quarter to put this thing away. Wemby 11, Keldon with 8. The final line looks like KJ, a season high, tying the season high with 27 points. Victor Wembanyama, 16 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 26 minutes of work. 4 of 25 from 3 is what the Spurs finish. 9 of 39 from 3 is what the Lakers finish. They combined for 32 turnovers. Listen, it's a crawl to the finish line, but it's a crawl that the Spurs win, and you like it. And they move to 26-11 on the year.
So let's talk about the game first. Like you said, it was at times it was tough. But you got to give, Luka credit for playing in a back-to-back. I didn't, we got the injury report late, so I'm not too concerned about what was going on with LeBron. He is 41, so we'll give him that. Well, there is one thing I'll say. Maybe the Lakers trainer was out of a leave, but anyway, we won't get into that. Let's talk about what the Spurs did and what they didn't do. A chance for Victor to play, got back out there, looked good. But Keldon's energy was what it was. And like we talked about before, San Antonio got the win. So now they're 2-1 against the Lakers. That's one of the teams that's right there behind you. So that's the very important thing that Coach Mitch and the coaches will look at. But, Casey, like where I'm at, and you can see this wonderful facility behind us. I remember the days of San Antonio practicing at Incarnate Word. Boy, this has come a long way since those days, I'll tell you that. And the other great thing about it, Casey, is that they have shooting machines in there that they'll get better at the three because the Spurs – again, 4 of 16 for the night, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so they'll get better at it.
From three, no, 4
from
of 25.
4 of 25?
Yeah, 16%, 4 of 25, yeah.
Well, they'll get better at it, Casey, but all in all, they got the win, and that's the important part.
You take it. Fox, 14, 3 and 5. He did not make a field goal in the first half, finished 5 of 14 from the field. Castle, 15, 5 and 4. A better night bouncing back after fouling out in Memphis the night prior. Dylan Harper's shooting struggles continue, only 2 points, 1 of 6 from the field in 19 minutes of work. Luka's final line reads 38 points, 10 boards, 10 assists. Missed a bunch of free throws, though. 16 in the 107-91 victory. Yeah, let's go back to that Keldon Johnson guy. As kind of the X factor with this team.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
11 of 13 from the field, like I said, with that 27 points to go along with 6 rebounds. It continues to be a conversation about just kind of the evolution of the job that he's done in his role to maximize every opportunity that he's given. And the fact that we've seen it time and time again, just so many different types of iteration of Keldon Johnson in his career in San Antonio. And to see him every night, and it is every night, he hasn't missed a game. It is every night, go out there, find a way to dig up some energy on a night where the team looks, pretty lethargic, beyond lethargic all the way around. It's a testament to him always being ready, and he does it again tonight.
So let me tell you this about Keldon. Like there's certain people that you really enjoy watching in the silver and black. And I think he's an old school player. Could have played with us. He can play now. He can play in the future. The passion that he plays with, and Coach Mitch needed him tonight. He was big tonight, not only the scoring, but just the energy that he provided. So it was great to see him really earn that X factor from us. But, in a bigger sense, he's going after that 6th man of the year. And Casey, I'll be very surprised. I got to look around the league because I have my Spurs goggles on all the time. You know that. But right now, he's my 6th man of the year.
I think Vegas about a week ago, they had him as the front runner. That's not particularly surprising. It's pretty wide open this year. There's nobody that's going to run away with it. And an opportunity is there for him to potentially do exactly that. And you like it, especially on a night where what we saw tonight is the type of win that they're going to have to get a lot of going forward, because they're not going to go 4 of 25, but every single night. I'm not sure how much better they're going to do in 4 and 25, to be honest. But they're going to be in these situations where it's going to need to be the defense that bails them out on these strong shooting nights. And yeah, the LA was on tired legs. Yeah, they were without LeBron. They were without Austin Reeves. You know, it was pretty much one-man traffic with Luka doing everything. But still, anytime that you have a team shooting 9 of 39, knocking down a quarter of threes, it's a testament to the job you're doing on the defensive end. And, you know, they were getting stops. They were getting the run-outs. And, you know, they were able to – what you really like was that they closed the door down the stretch. That they got within 9, the Lakers did in the fourth. But you never really had a feeling that they had a pulse that they were going to get back on the right side of things. So, you know, a good job on that front, a testament to them to being, you know, being pros when it counted and closing things out.
Well, you know, you look at it, it was a big possession for the Lakers when it was at 9. They got a 3, and I thought Luka made a great extra pass to Rivia for that 3. Now you can say percentage-wise, whatever, who the better, you know, three-point shooter is, and Luka made a great pass. But I think if Luka took that one back, he'll take that 3, and it could have possibly cut it to 6. But at the end of the day, if you're Coach Mitch, you're gonna have to win in this league, to have a lot of success. You got to win different ways. Tonight was a different way that the Spurs had to pull this game out. Like you said earlier, scratch and claw, because there are going to be nights when they are hitting the 3. Victor plays great, and they lose that ball game. Well, this wasn't the night. You had Victor playing on the back-to-back, seeing how his body adjusts. You had a lot of guys that struggled, you know, if not everybody struggled from the 3, yet you win the basketball game. And that's the important part. So, yeah, you're right, Casey. But, you know, in a sense, you take these when you can and you move on to the next one.
Well, especially when you got a beyond next 3 that are actually looking pretty tough. So coming up on the other side of the break, we'll look ahead to a 3-game road swing coming up for San Antonio that's not particularly easy, which includes another back-to-back, and 3 teams that are probably in all likelihood going to be playing deep into the postseason following tonight's victory over the Lakers, a 107-91 final. But before we do all of that, let's have a conversation about some of our friends who helped drive all this program and make all this possible. One of them, of course, FanDuel. Keep an eye out, because Friday is the day you're going to want to have circled on your calendar with FanDuel, because every Friday night before the games tip off, they're giving fans a new way to kick off the weekend with what's called an NBA happy hour. What is it? Well, it's your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers they drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action even starts. Fridays, 6 to 7 Eastern time, 6 to 7:30 Eastern time, should say. They've become appointment viewing, simply put, with this NBA happy hour. Opening the app, you check in, and it gives you an opportunity, if you get things right, to make some more money. Boosts, bonuses, surprises. If you know what you're doing, they're going to reward you for it, and they're going to reward you big. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA happy hour. Again, every Friday, 6 to 7:30 Eastern, only on the FanDuel app and only on FanDuel. NBA happy hour. It's where you can find it with FanDuel, the official sports book partner of the NBA. Since we're on the topic about being cautious with our money, well, now we're being more cautious with our money with Rocket Money. Let's be real. Managing your finances, as we know, can feel overwhelming. Between the subscriptions you forget about, the bills, trying to figure out really at its core where your money's going each month, it's very simple to feel like you're losing control sometimes. It happens. It gets the best of us. That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control, finding and canceling your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills all at the same time so you can grow your savings. So let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join rocketmoney.com or at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. See it right there on your screen. That's opposed to Locked On NBA. And finally, Prize Picks. Bringing this episode to you in part tonight. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player props for the first time, something new can feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, as we know, it always feels good to be right. It's a daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even that much more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections, no drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less and play your way and win. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. You're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after your first 5 with Prize Picks. It's good to be right. San Antonio victors tonight, 107-91, and now depart for a difficult 3-game road swing, starting back beginning Saturday night. They spend the weekend. They spend Saturday in Boston, should say. Go up to Minnesota on Sunday, and then for the 4th time this season with the Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously the Spurs take in the first 3. We started this afternoon feeling very skeptical about this Spurs team for a few reasons, because they were not shooting the basketball well. The criticism of Mitch Johnson were plenty, especially given how he's been having to manage the Victor Wembanyama situation with the minutes. Is there anything that you saw tonight that makes you feel better? Not that we were particularly worried or pressing or anything like that. I don't think we're firmly sounding the alarms of something that was going to stop.
Right.
But it was cautionary things. Is there anything that you really saw tonight that could change your mind for the better going into that stretch? Or are we just kind of at the same level right now?
No, the only thing that I'm thinking is that Victor was in there all the way to about a minute 7.
Yeah.
And I made the comment, to myself, I bet you won't be coming out of this game, tonight, because we had talked about, maybe him making an appearance for that last shot, but they didn't do it. But, it got him up to 25 minutes, so that's good. That's good. He was at 21 the night before. But I'm going to tell you this, Casey, this next stretch, okay, these teams that they're going to play, I'm going to learn a lot about Coach Mitch and the team. So I'm going to really dig in and pay attention to lineups and things like that. So I'll keep you, of course, I'll keep you posted on what it is that I'm seeing from my eyes. But like you talked about, this stretch coming up is not for the weak.
And then you expand it to what they have after the 3-game road trip. Let me get back to it. They come back on the 15th, so that's 1 week from today. They got Milwaukee. It's trying to go through their own thing. As we know, presume Giannis will be back, will be playing. Then Minnesota town again, and then the Jazz, a team that beat them, that's playing better. It took Oklahoma City to the wire tonight. I probably should have won that game. And then at Houston, Utah again. So you get the idea. But this is what we knew. We knew that it was going to be a whole lot of West this point going forward, and these are the games that you got to get. But I think at the same time, that's kind of the importance of winning a game like you do tonight, right? Because I thought you made a good point when you said that with Victor, you could have some of these nights where Victor goes for 35 and 15 and 7 blocks, and they lose the game, and you're feeling like, man, that was a wasted performance. But you win games like this, and that kind of cancels it out. And when you can do things like that, win the games that you're supposed to win, we talk about it all the time. It makes life a little bit easier when you do that. And they did that tonight. For me, I'm still, I don't feel like there was anything I saw tonight from a schematical standpoint that makes me feel better about things, comparatively speaking, to when I woke up this morning. I thought they were going to win this game. They were in a plenty advantageous spot, getting the Lakers on a back-to-back, no LeBron, and they took care of business like they were supposed to, to their credit, and they did. But I think there's just a lot of things that are, they're cautionary, and they're cautionary right now. It's very fitting that the as soon as I say that, the scene goes red behind you over there. But it went very, very cryptic. But
I think someone's in there messing with buttons, Casey.
I know they're watching. They're pulling some putty stuff back there. We're in the upside down back there, since everyone's talking about stranger things. No, but I mean, we'll find out. That's what makes this Oklahoma City game going to be very interesting in itself, coming up next week. And considering that they'll be in a situation where they have played a back-to-back a couple days before that against a playoff contender.
Hey, to your point, Casey, that game against the Celtics in Boston, all right, you're probably going to have to deal with some stuff leaving out of there. To play the next night in Minnesota, you're going to have to deal with stuff getting to that arena. And then it's going to be the lineups. How much energy are you going to have to play against Boston and then have to get it together the next night against a Minnesota team that is very good with a very good guard there? I forget his name, Casey, but that's not important right now. And so you're going to have to be ready for those two with a night, and then you get the Thunder. So this is going to be a great stretch for everybody, coaching staff and the players.
For what it's worth, I'm looking up Boston weather right now. No snow this weekend. So
so they're going to all be at the beach somewhere. Then that's excellent.
Yeah. The plentiful the beaches that they have in Boston, Massachusetts, right? It is a beautiful in the fall. I used to live in Massachusetts. In the fall, it's fantastic out there. But that went through a stretch when I lived in Massachusetts in 2014. It was around this time. I originally had family out there, but I had never lived in Boston extended period of time.
Right.
And I think from mid-January to the first probably 3 weeks, first 3 weeks of January, I think every single day it was below zero. And I discovered that once it goes below zero, you don't feel anything. So it could be like 20 under at that point, and you wouldn't even notice.
No. The only thing that I can really tell you is, you remember Legal Seafood there?
No, I think that was before me.
Here we go.
Yeah.
That's ageism, Casey. Anyway, there's Legals in there, and I happened to walk in there because I wanted some clam chowder. That's not a joke. I wanted some. And the Patriots were playing on a Thursday night.
Oh.
And when I walked in there, it was completely, packed. That's the only Boston story I have for you.
All those, not one?
Well, no, I have more.
Primarily, yeah. Well,
a lot of times it was on a back-to-back, so we just did the breakfast thing in the morning at the hotel,
I guess 1 year in Cleveland, 1 year in Chicago, and that the rest of the way was Western Conference. Now that I said that, right?
Western Conference, get in there, and then we usually go play New York. We're coming from New York, playing them, or Toronto, Boston. So that's what make this the whole Boston Minnesota deal. That's wild. That's a crazy back-to-back.
I know a guy who you put him in any condition, any climate, he'll find a way to make it work, because he's got a couple things missing up there, but that's what we love about him.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
He was our X Factor, so you know what? Let's send him off on a high note. Keldon Johnson, our player of the game tonight.
Well, Keldon, he actually, he provided all the energy. He played very well. And if he keeps going at this pace, Casey, he's going to be able to get that Lima. All right. So we wish him luck on that. But Keldon was excellent tonight. Great game. Our hats are off to him.
Man, I kind of feel like, all right, it's a privilege to be able to attend any game. So I should preface this statement by saying that. But the paying fan today for the Spurs fan, man. So they got it rough. Just the thought to close out. I mean, they bought the ticket. They got LeBron, but they didn't get LeBron. They had the tip move back from 6:30 to essentially 8:45 to watch a game where both teams shot under 40% from the field. Well, Spurs shot over 40%, but 4 of 25 from three. But they saw Wemby and they saw a win. That's all they care about.
That's it.
That's all they care about. That's all that matters. And they got to see Luka Doncic put up a triple-double and get the dub. Their Spurs get the dub above all else. Hey, we got a busy week. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow with the title pod in the AM with Jeff, as he always does. Actually, now that I said it, I'm on it in the morning. And then you can catch me and Devin and Jeff again getting together, 9 o'clock, 9:15, Thursday, your local time. Central time, I should say, for the Spurs Squad Show. And then you and I, my friend, will be back to all the Boston talk. We'll be back Saturday following Spurs Celtics on the Spurs postcast when Spurs Celtics goes final. It's late, man. We got to get out of here. I was making fun of the time. You got to get home. It's off over there. So, hey, as always, we appreciate you every day who's making this stuff possible. You make it fun, and you're the reason Locked On Podcast Network is the #1 sports podcast network in all of the land. So that said, for my dear friend, Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, I'm Casey Viera. Time for us to go to bed. we'll do exactly that. Spurs winners tonight, taking care of business against the Lakers. Talk to you tomorrow.